It's been a little bit since I've done anything book related on this channel. I think it's been almost 4 years. I think I did a Dune Club unboxing about 4 years ago, and maybe I did a couple of book stuff, but I don't think I've done a book review or book haul in almost 4 years. And then it's been about 5 months since my last video. My fiance and I are doing a series called B Movie Bingo. Make sure you check those out. This channel is certainly not a stranger to movie stuff because I've been both a fan of movies and books and sort of combining those two mediums in my writing. See, it's even my classic book reviews where I get a cameo from one of my fur babies. But I just wanted to briefly hop on and show off my book haul. I went short story. I was wearing this shirt at my D&D group, and they asked me about him. They're like, "What's that shirt from?" Because I mean, to somebody that doesn't know what it is, it might seem super random. And for those that are watching that might not know, it's from the first and last line in the Dark Tower series. Get your butt off camera. It's the man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. And so I started talking to my D&D friends um, about the Dark Tower series, and one of my friends was like, "So I've always wanted to read Stephen King, but I didn't know what to get into." Um, and this individual kind of also stressed to me that they don't really like super long books. So it's like I suggested, The Shining, um, The Green Mile, and The Gunslinger as like something to try. My first Stephen King book was Cujo. I remember growing up, my mom had a basket full of Stephen King books that she kept kind of separate from the library that her and my father had accumulated over the years, and I suspect that was probably to keep us, the kids, out of those books, because she didn't really let me read them um, until I was well into middle school or early high school. She let me read Cujo, and I was always fascinated by the covers and stuff, and I always thought the she had a paperback Dark Tower book that had just the tower on it with this like glowing blue and purple light behind it. And as I remember, the cover for The Stand, I don't think she had a first edition, but it was a hardcover version of The Stand with the guy fighting the crow. Um, and I believe that was also the 800-page version, not the extended version that I eventually read shortly after I graduated. And I think that's also the last time I really that was the last time I read the Dark Tower series too. Was shortly after I finished The Stand, and I've read a handful of Stephen King's books over the years, um, but I think my love for reading kind of went into hibernation. I was going to say it died, but I'm still around, so I don't think it'll ever really die. I think it went into more of a hibernation in 2020 after the pandemic because I hit a pretty good stride with my books, my writing career, and then it's like I wasn't able to do book signings for about a year and a half, and then when I came back to do book signings, it's like I was starting all over again, and that was really defeating. So it's like I haven't written anything in almost 5 years as far as like publishing it. I've had short stories and stuff like that I've kind of banked. Um, but here recently, I've had the itch. Like the itch has really been there. Like I have a couple ideas, and it's interesting. I think the past 2 weeks or so, especially since this conversation with my friends about the Dark Tower, I've been like, I think I'm ready to write another book. And it's interesting. I think the three authors I can really point to as far as my inspirations and um, becoming an author were Stephen King, Clive Barker, and R.L. Stein. So it's interesting that all these years later, a conversation about Stephen King has sort of thrown gasoline on that little fire that's been sort of building inside of me the past couple months, and especially these past couple weeks, where my goal is to start working on my next book. Um, I don't know, maybe next week. I might continue the science fiction fantasy book I was going to. Uh, that was my next planned project. I plan on reading through that, and then I might even start something new. Like I have a couple other ideas too. Um, I have an idea for a short novella that is sort of a fantasy drama. I've thought about doing lots of different stuff outside of paranormal thrillers and horror. But let's get to the book haul real quick. So I picked up, and I got all of these from Half Price Books. If you're looking for affordable books, and this is not sponsored, Half Price Books is a good way to go. I got all these books for each. The most expensive one was $3.99, but a lot of them I got for like $1.50 to $1.99. So this is the stand. The cover's kind of dark, but you can see like the eyes. This is the so this version is 815 pages long. I believe the extended version is like 1,400 pages. Excuse you. Um, and I'm curious to see if I can recall the difference um, reading this versus the extended version, which unfortunately I don't have anymore. I think I went through an exodus when I kind of fell out of love with reading and writing, where I got rid of like these shelves you see behind me used to be full of books. Now they're sort of a mishmash of books, video games, consoles, and miniatures that I've painted. Um, so I'm hoping to accumulate some more books here soon. Um, so I got the stand. And then I got the drawing of the three. I remember my mom had a hardcover version of this that had the same cover with the three, I guess, doors or cards that are on the front of this. This is the second book in the Dark Tower series. I have the first. I believe my grandma got me this book maybe about 10 or 15 years ago for my birthday. And it's the only Stephen King book that I kept after I got rid of a bunch of my books, which I wish I could go back in time and tell myself not to do that. But everything happens for a reason, right? Um, Here's another one, another iconic cover, in my opinion. Uh, the Wastelands, which is the third Dark Tower book. So it's funny. I remember my mom having this one and the train on the front cover and being like, "What's that about?" And what's funny is I can't really recall. So I'm excited to get back into this series and read more. Um, I'm really enjoying playing video games from a um, story analysis standpoint, especially with the Final Fantasy series. But I have missed um, reading books, and um, I'm engaged now, so that there is a part of me that kind of wants to set a good example and um, show my fiance's kids that reading is cool, even though a lot of times I'm not. But that's okay. I embrace that. So next is Wizard and Glass. I like the other cover better. This one's like it's fine. Again, this was a cheap book, but I really like the one that has like the wizard's tower with the bright purple sky and clouds beneath it. But this is the fourth book in the Dark Tower series. Unfortunately, I didn't see Wind Through the Keyhole, which is the book that takes place between books 4 and 5, which King published, I think, about 10 years after the Dark Tower series was finished. Next is Wolves of Kala. I hope I'm saying that right. These are heavy. It's funny. It's interesting that I decided to get these with paperback because all when I had these originally, they were all hardback except for the Gunslinger, which I was like, I don't know how my OCD survived that. Maybe it was because it was from a loved one, or is from a loved one. But yeah, this is the fifth installment in the Dark Tower series. Um, last last in my haul is the sixth Dark Tower book, Song of Susanna. Um, I think this cover is actually really pretty. I'm sad that they had the seventh Dark Tower book, and I meant to pick it up, uh, but I forgot. It was sitting right next to this one, and unfortunately the spine was almost identical, so I think my brain got confused. Collecting all these books, picking these up remind me of my childhood when there was this bookstore that had a basement full of books that you could get for like 10 to 50 cents each. So I bought like a bunch of Star Trek books, Goosebumps, you name it. I've even started about thought about starting a and this is just something that popped in my head today was starting a book club. Like I would love to do that. I don't know when I would find the time, but how cool would it be to have a Dark Tower book club? Like not just the seven books, but like the other books that are in the King verse, if you will, that are, excuse me, connected to the book series. Like I would love to do that, like locally. Um, I don't know how well something like that would take off, but uh, I do miss getting to talk books, not only on this channel but also just in real life. Like Stephen King's books. He's a strange and flawed individual as we all are in real life, but I've always really admired his work ethic and his books and the movies that are based off his books. And you know, I don't think I would have. I think my writing career would be very different if I didn't have that exposure. Um, and it's like it's given me another connection to my mom. And then I have my close friend Christina Priest, who I've done videos with on this channel. Her and I talk about Stephen King stuff all the time, and I found her channel through The Stand and her review of it. It's either The Stand or Sleeping Beauties, one of the two. Um, so it's like Stephen King has been a presence in my life, and I'm excited to dive back into his fiction. Um, so I think this has gone on long enough. It feels good making a new video about books. I'm hoping to have a new B movie bingo here soon. More movie stuff. Just want to check in, comment below. Let me know if you have any commentaries on any of the books I picked up. Thank you for tagging along.